not started.
Hello, sir. Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well, sir. It's a pleasure to have you on our live session today.
Pleasure is mine. I've not been live for a while, so this is a rare appearance for me. Hi, everybody coming. Welcome. How y'all doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Thank,
Awesome. Awesome. All right.
thank you to everybody joining in. Thank you, Bankole. Thank you, Chinazo Destiny, Emmanuel Olas, Adebimpe Adenuga, Bobby Stanley. Thank you, everybody, for joining our live session today. It's a pleasure to see your beautiful faces. Okay, quickly, we are just going to dive right into the conversation. My name is Stephen Oluwadara. I'm an associate at Clarity Education Limited, and I have here with me Francesca Odo. So she's going to do a quick introduction about Clarity Education and what we do before we introduce our guest speaker today. So over to you, Francesca.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Francesca, and I'll be talking briefly about Clarity. So, Clarity Education is an international student recruitment agency. We have a track record of success in international student placement and career advisory. Basically, if you want to study abroad, we are like your best bet. And we're having a very informative session here with the reputable Jimi Tewe. Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Francesca, for that warm introduction. So the reason why we are bringing up this conversation at this moment is because now globally, even in Nigeria, we are in a great period of uncertainty as everybody is going to confirm the cost of living is increasing. There is war in Ukraine and it's affecting our life generally. And the reason why we brought our speaker today is because he has an extensive experience driving culture change for individuals and helping organizations to develop across various industries. He has coached about 250 business executives and entrepreneurs and has authored 3 books: Think, The Pillar of Career Success, and The Purpose Book. This conversation is for you if you know that you are tired of your current situation and you need to switch up your life, you need to switch up your career, you need to switch up your business and move to the next gear. So today we are going to learn insightful secrets that would help us to become better humans, better goal setters, and switch up to the next gear. So everybody, I want you to join me and make welcome Mr. Jimi Tewe by dropping your favorite emoji to welcome our speaker today, Mr. Jimi Tewe. Please, let me see your favorite emoji if you're excited to join this session. I'm excited to see your emoji.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for those who are joining. And maybe I should put it up front to those who are watching. Somebody's saying, what do I have to do with studying abroad? I want you not to get into the challenge of immediate perception. Immediate perception basically means that you look at things based on your frame of reference, which might be limited a number of times. All right. So thank you to everybody dropping an emoji. Appreciate it. It's great to be here today. And I'll tell you that this is what I call, if you wanted to call this another title today, this would be about the need for global learning. All right. I want somebody in the comment section to type it, the need for global learning. All right. Listen to me. The diet for kings is not the same diet for citizens. All right. What you feed a person who's going to be a leader is obviously different from the requirement from somebody that is just going to be a mere citizen. Not because one is better than the other, but the demands differ, largely. And that's one of the things I found out, that the people that, probably need to listen to this are people who have decided that, yes, thank you, Adebike, that the need in this season is a response to be global in our outlook, no matter what it is we're doing. Now, I was in Nigeria, I think up until last week. Yeah, I mean, I travel to Nigeria quite often. I joke about it and I say that, I'm probably in Nigeria more than most Nigerians, but the fact about it is this, that every time I come around, I try to do a bit of a survey of the landscape. I try to look at what exactly is going on, and I can tell you that, in many ways that we're optimistic that a lot of things are actually going to look up. Do you get my point? But one of the things I like to tell people is the fact that, while you might be located locally in a place, it is very critical that you have a global outlook to whatever you are doing. I was watching a YouTube video I did 9 years ago, and I think I called it localization, where I was speaking about you being locally relevant, but also globally accessible, and that is the reality of the times we are living in. All right. So in our parents' times, there were certain realities that they had to live with. All right. In our own times, there are realities we have to live with. One of the realities in our times that we need to live is the concept of globalization. And let me tell you what I mean by reality. If you are not conscious of the reality of your time, you cannot maximize that time. All right. So, for example, technology is a premise for globalization. All right. I can sit in my house here in Dallas and order a meal for somebody that is in Victoria Island, and the food is delivered to the person, and I did not move anything. And the only thing I need to do is, in terms from end to end, is, from payments to ordering to monitoring and tracking and all that, it is all technology enabled. In my parents' generation, that was not possible. You had to do a lot of things manually. Now, the truth about it, therefore, is this, that if you are going to be truly global, then it means that there's a demand on you to have the competence, the capacity, the knowledge, the skills, and the experience required to function at that plane. All right. I believe that everybody vibrates at different levels of energy, and the level of energy you vibrate at is actually dependent on the exposure that you have. So there's a concept in physics called resonance, and the concept of resonance is that if you have a string vibrating at a particular frequency and you bring another string close to it that is not vibrating at all, after a while the two of them begin to vibrate at the same frequency. And that is the concept of education, that when you get into a class with somebody vibrating at a particular level, you begin to vibrate at the same level at that person. So when we're in secondary school, for example, one of my toughest courses was further maths. All right. So I remember we used to have a teacher called Mr. Abu. That was his name. And for the classes I finally understood, let me tell you what understanding means. Understanding basically means vibrating at the frequency that the teacher has. You might not do it at the level they are, but at least you begin to move closer towards that. So every class session is a energy resetting session. And when a student leaves that room with that higher level of energy, they're able to attempt greater levels of challenges, able to provide solutions at a higher level, simply because their energy level changes. Now, what is the implication of this? It therefore means that the energy you are vibrating at is also dependent to a very large extent to the exposures that you have, the teachers that you have, the lessons you are learning. So if you had a teacher, for example, unfortunately in Africa we have that, where many people went into the teaching profession, not because it was a passion, not because they had the full competence, but that was just the only option that they had. So we have English teachers that don't understand English. Do you get my point? We have mathematics teachers that don't understand the full concept of mathematics, not because they don't or they can't, it's simply because of the realities of the environment. And so the students that sit in their class are at the mercy of their level of vibration. You get what I'm saying? So students at their mercy is at the level of vibration. So if we're going to rate vibration from 1 to 10, for example, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, a teacher operating at 3 cannot, is what John calls the law of the lead. A teacher operating at 3 cannot deliver a student resonating at 8. For a student to resonate at 8, not only will they sit in that class, they have to go and maybe read textbooks, expose their mind to other frequencies, and that is the only thing that makes them have more knowledge than the teachers that they're exposed to. This is the reason why when you have a global mindset with whatever it is you are doing, then it therefore means that the energy you need to expose yourself to has to be at the global level. Now, this is not a case of trying to get people to just say, oh, let me relocate or let me travel or stuff like that. The whole concept or idea is, can I be exposed to the kind of energy that is required for me to begin to resonate at, for me to deliver the possibilities that are ahead of me? And the fact about it is that globally, the best education is not available locally. Now, thankfully, with the advent of technology, we're able to get that. I sit in my office here in Dallas in my house. I'm able to access courses in MIT, access courses in Harvard, access courses in all. And it's not a competition. Some schools are better than some schools currently. I'm optimistic that the Nigerian environment will change. I'm optimistic that things will get better in the educational sector in Nigeria. But the fact about it is that you are only able to resonate at the level of energy that you are currently exposed to. What does that mean? It therefore means that a person who is very enthusiastic, a person who is very dedicated, no matter how dedicated they are limited by the level of exposure that they have. So when I think about global education, it's not a competition between UK, US, Canada, or Nigeria. It's basically, I am determining to resonate at a level that enables me to play at the global stage. Let me explain what I mean by that. There are global conversations today, all right? And no matter how enthusiastic or passionate you are, there are certain conversations you cannot have simply because you are not exposed. And the truth about it is that exposure is in spaces. Exposure is in experiences. So if you don't have the privilege of exposure, you are limited in your ability to have those kind of conversations. So I'll give you a classical example. Our current, it's changing, but generally I observed that the type of teaching that we have in most, for example, Nigerian universities, all right? In learning, there's what we call pedagogy. In other words, we're talking about how children learn. Do you get my point? Okay. But what we found is that there's another one called andragogy, where it's how adults learn. Children learn by recital. Children learn by being lectured. Adults learn from experiences. Do you get my point? Unfortunately, our educational system in Nigeria is still designed around pedagogy, where it is somebody sits in front of you for 4 hours and is teaching you and teaching you. And all you're saying is, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Meanwhile, if you went to an MBA class, the conversation is not that way. In fact, not even MBA. My children here that live here and in America, where we live currently and all that, because of what I'm doing at this season of my life, they have their notes uploaded on the platform. They're meant to read it, and then when they come to class, they engage in conversations. Obviously, the children produced by a system like that will end up having greater bandwidth for thinking than one that is only designed to just absorb information, right or wrong, given to them. I'm trying to break this down because, again, the moment people hear study abroad, they say, they've come again. No. The idea is, again, let me start from the beginning. Raising a child is different from raising a king. Listen to me. The same set of people, but different outputs. Raising a child, what you might require is not much, but the moment you want to raise a king, there's certain extras that come. And what I'm saying is that it depends on the way that you are designed. Do you get my point? Oh yeah, somebody coded Gerald. Thank you very much for that. It's a major challenge. So many times, even in faith-based organizations, where you basically sit down and you are basically listening to somebody preaching. While that is great, on a higher level, if you look at the model of Jesus, you will notice that he engaged in conversations in dealing with them. And that is, unfortunately, if you look at it from a global perspective, you therefore know that more of the global universities or educational institutes are more aligned with that than what we have locally. And because of this, you have to now choose and say, am I going to just be patriotic alone or be globally patriotic? Because that's another challenge, all right? Oh, Jimmy, are you encouraging people to leave Nigeria? Not at all. If you leave and you're on your own and you fail, don't call my number. Do you get my point? But what I'm saying is this, that if the vision that you have cannot be delivered with the level of educational resonance that we currently have, it is in your own favor to begin to explore opportunities beyond your local boundary. You can still be patriotic even if you are not situated locally in a place. In fact, I am of the belief that a lot of people who are truly patriotic don't live in Nigeria. That's the honest truth. All right? But that's another conversation for another day. So because of this mindset, I had to lay that foundation. Because of this mindset, it therefore means that if I want to learn something, one of my newest areas of desire to learn is in neuroscience. Neuroscience, all right? I'm trying to learn about neuroscience in terms of performance for organizations at executive level and things like that. Now, the truth about it is that there is currently no formal course for neuroscience for executives in Nigeria. What does that mean? If I sat in Nigeria alone and say, I want to be patriotic, it means I have determined to be limited in my exposure to the vibration required for me to perform at a higher level. But today I have a course that I'm planning to do in MIT. I have one in Harvard that I want to do. So my choice to study in Harvard or MIT is not unpatriotic. It is only simply identifying what I need to be able to perform at a global stage. So I want to set that context before we now begin to go into the conversation about clarity education. By the way, let me share a quick story if you don't mind. How did I even come across clarity education? Many years ago, particularly in 2013 or 2014, I had a habit of every year I would travel out of Nigeria and I would go and hold conferences in different places, all right? And one of the conferences I used to run at that time was called Career Shift, all right? It was called Career Shift. And I remember that I'd done one in London, and I think I was going the following year. Yes, I did 2012, 2013. In 2014, I was on the plane, and seated next to me was a gentleman who just said, hello, hello. He was a bit older than I was. And I mean, in the journey, I kind of like peeped and I noticed he was doing something around the performance assessment, personality assessment tool or something like that. And because that's my field, I decided to open my mouth. Thank God I opened my mouth. The gentleman is a man called Dr. Tope Togo, all right? Is one of the people that is the brains behind Clarity Education. And I wanted to just share the story. And so I picked up the conversation and I said, oh, you are doing something about the personality assessment. And he said, oh, yes. Then we began to have this conversation, jigging my point. And then he says to me, so what do you do? And I said, oh, well, this is what I do. I'm a career coach and stuff like that. And that I'm going, he said, what are you going to do in the US, UK? And I said, oh, well, that I was going to run a particular conference, you know, about educating people who are Nigerians, who are traveling for education and how they can, you know, maybe look for opportunities back home. He was so intrigued by what I said. He said, you know what, I need you to go to more universities. So in 2015, he opened the door to 5 universities in London, Birmingham, Manchester, no, I didn't go to Manchester, Glasgow, Edinburgh, and there was one other place. I can't remember where it was. That one single conversation opened me up. Listen to me. I could not have gotten that inside a bus. Are you hearing me? In other words, that exposure was around the environment I was in. So I don't want you to think about foreign education simply, oh, it's foreign, it's expensive. No. The question is, for where you are going, what you need to eat, what you have around you, the restaurants around you, educational restaurants around you, do they have it to deliver? If they don't have it to deliver, you might need to think about it and say, how do I think beyond where I am and look for more opportunities? Now, I know the number one problem people have, money. How do I pay? Now, this is where Clarity Education, where they come, because they're able to propose options to you. Listen to me. Do you know that there are universities, for example, that you can go for free? A lot of people, because of lack of environment and right spaces, they don't know these things, and so they're limited. But I'm sure that if you want now, I don't go live with a lot of organizations and all that. The reason why I'm going live with Clarity Education is because I have I am part of their background. I know Dr. Tope Togo, Mrs. Kemi Togo, and a few other people that are the leaders of the organization, and I know they have integrity and they truly want to help people to have global exposure. Dr. Togo is probably one of the people that does a lot of things in the Nigeria Universities Commission. He could have decided to just, migrate, but he's leveraging all that exposure at the global level to transform what we have locally here in Nigeria. So let me stop there and allow you to ask some more questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for that vote of confidence for our business. I believe everybody must have been getting gems that you want to keep in mind. But please, if you have any questions, kindly start dropping them in the comment section. We'll be picking them up. Now, my first question to you, sir, is what role would you say education has played in your life generally? Before we streamline it to study abroad. Because it's important we set that background, that foundation for the importance of education in the life of persons.
I think, yes. I mean, to be very candid, myself and any other person at every pivotal transformational point of their life, there was a deposit of education that was there. Education can be formal or informal, all right? And what education basically means, the word education, the etymology of that word speaks about light, the introduction of light into a space. That's what it actually means. So that's where the word enlightened, oh, she's enlightened, he's enlightened, that actually comes from education. It therefore means that you are only as enlightened as you are educated. Do you get my point? All right.
Yes, sir.
And so what that means is that for me personally, in fact, now I have now made it a strategy for me. Every new phase I want to get into, I'm actually getting to another new phase now. Yesterday I was online and I saw a book directed in my news. I wanted to buy one book. I bought 3 books already. I don't want to tell my wife before she tells me I'm spending too much money. But I bought 3 books already. All right. And I'm looking at, it's Amazon Prime, so I'm going to get the books today and all that. I'm going to be educated, enlightened, and once I'm enlightened, I'm able to function at a higher level of vibration to deliver superior solutions. So education for me is very, very paramount.
Thank you very much, sir. Francesca, you are going to go next. But my second question is, as a student, are there specific quality you need? I mean as a student of life, to be able to learn anything. Are there specific quality or skill you need to be able to absorb that education that you are getting?
Well, I think that I just typed something on Google now, and I typed the etymology of the word students. And it basically, interestingly, the word student means applying oneself to. It's a different orientation altogether. All right. The student that we typically have is somebody that just absorbs information. No, the true concept of education, of being a student, is to apply onto something. That is why one of the key attributes for learning is intentionality. You have to be intentional where that is concerned. So I remember a short story. My brother, the last one of our family, came to me many years ago, and he said to me, that he wanted to study abroad to get like some sort of global education. Now, the schools he was mentioning were in the category of the Harvards, the Yales, and I knowing our family history and our financial condition, I was a bit concerned about that. Do you get my point? But to cut the story short, because he applied himself, he was able to find options that worked for him. Eventually, he graduated with his master's in finance from the Yale University. From there, he went on to work with Goldman Sachs, and today he currently does investment banking in Dubai and stuff like that. But the key was he applied himself. I find that as a missing gap, because there are even people who are in universities that don't apply themselves. So you now finally got to University of Manchester, you got to South London University or whatever, but you're in class and you're not applying yourself. Presence does not mean application. Do you get my point? Application is intentional.
Yes, sir.
And we find out, and that's what's exam? Exams are basically a situation curated to know who has applied themselves or not at the end of the day. So I think the primary ingredient to be a student, like I said from this etymology, is applying yourself to something. And I think that if you apply yourself to something, every other thing you require where it comes to being a good student will kind of like come to you. If you apply yourself, you will learn. If you apply yourself, you will be disciplined. If you apply yourself, you will think. If you apply yourself, you will execute. So those other things are from the premise of one deciding to apply themselves. Listen to me. Many people are students. They don't know. Anytime you apply yourself to something, you are learning. You are working in an organization. They give you a project, and you don't understand the project, but you apply yourself. Immediately you become a student. Guess what's going to happen? At the end of the project, you will not only have completed the project, you will have learned in the process. The difference between most humans is the choice to apply ourselves or not to apply ourselves.
Thank you very much, sir. Two things I got today: intentionality and applying yourself.
Yeah.
I hope, guys, you've written that down. Please drop your questions now. Francisca, over to you.
Okay, so my question is, what effective strategies for personal development can international students implement during abroad?
While they're, I didn't hear that last part.
What effective strategies for personal development can international students implement during their time abroad?
Okay, beautiful. I like that. Again, I always joke and say abroad is not above. You have to be intentional about where you are. And I mean, while there are many dimensions, I'd like to speak about, two of those dimensions. The first thing is that in any educational institution you attend abroad, there is already a dimension of a body of knowledge available that you have paid for. Listen to me. When they say do your assignment, what they are saying is that apply yourself to maximize what you're paid for. So whenever anybody is not doing assignments, there's a project, they are not participating, what they are saying is that even though I've paid for this experience, I don't value it enough to apply myself. So, people go abroad and fail. You know that you're abroad does not mean that you're going to pass all the time. You can actually fail for what you paid for. And failure simply is just from a lack of application. Even if you don't understand, there are many avenues with which you are able to understand. So the first thing I would say is this, that maximize what you paid for. All right? Don't take it for granted. And this is where things around personal discipline begin to make a difference. A lot of people, their lack of personal discipline begins to express itself when they're in a different space. So somebody that doesn't read, does not apply himself, when he gets abroad, it doesn't mean he's going to read. Do you get my point? He has to change their personal discipline to adjust to be able to maximize that. The second thing I think, which is very critical for a lot of people who are studying abroad, and there are three I'm going to talk about. The second one is that you don't only learn in class, you learn with people. Listen to me. In your class, you're going to have Chinese. In fact, many universities, you will find some people, there are two people you'll find, usually Chinese and Indians, all right? Asians generally. You're going to find them in most universities globally. And think about it. What are the economies that are actually driving commerce? I'm not talking about people that are benefiting most from commerce. I'm talking about driving commerce. Most production goes on in Asia. Think about that. And because of that, what that means in essence is that a lot of their people are more educated than people in talking about education per capita. Do you get my point? So what that means is this, that it therefore means that if I'm going to study abroad, I'm going to have Chinese friends. I'm going to have Indian friends. One shocking thing I find, Nigerians appear abroad and all their friends are Emeka, Awa, and only Bose. Do you get my point? And many times the problem, by the way, is actually some dimension of lack of self-esteem. They don't have the courage to speak to people beyond their borders. You're abroad, for God's sake. Maximize that opportunity. Build friendships. There are things you will learn from culture and things you'll learn about systems. Listen to me. I live in a place I call Frisco. It's called Frisco. And when I was coming to live in Dallas, I was intentional about where I wanted to live. I asked, where there are people that are advancing the economy in Texas, where do they live? And they said, number one place is Frisco. It cost me more to live here, but it's paying me better. Guess what's going on? My children's friends are Indians, they're Asians, they're Caucasians. Do you get my point? And that's the truth about it. So you are not just paying for class, you are paying for space, and you need to maximize space. The last thing I'm going to say in that regard also is the fact that if you are studying abroad, you have to don't detach from home. What do I mean by that? Somebody said to me, Jimmy, since you relocated 2 years ago, how many times have you been to Nigeria? I said, I've been to Nigeria 9 times. They said, what are you doing? 9 times come to Nigeria. I understand the symbolic importance of Nigeria in the future of Africa and of the world. And I'm not going to be missing in what is going on. Let me tell you that for free. And because of that, what I'm doing is that I am matching whatever I am learning globally to local realities. In fact, just this morning, I had a conversation with a professor in one of the universities in Nigeria, and we're planning and putting together a program that is global but can be applied for locally and implemented locally. That's what I'm doing. So don't cut off and just be abroad, because in as much as you're abroad, you don't want to be one of just one type of fish in a very large pond. Your connection to home gives you an opportunity to take global knowledge, global information, and use it for your positioning locally. Now, this is what I found out. If you become number one in Nigeria, when you come to America, you only talk to number ones here. That's what people don't realize. If you are number one in Nigeria or in Africa, when you come, you don't talk to number 10s, you don't talk to number 50s, you talk to number ones. They will accord you the same respect. So what do I mean by that? When you are writing your project, let the topics be also relevant to home. Find real domestic, in fact, you know the general idea when you study abroad is that they'll tell you that, oh, how are you going to apply it back home? It's a general development idea. But some people miss that opportunity. And what they do, in fact, what they do is that they send their surveys, their questionnaires to their friends. Please help me to fill it. You miss an opportunity. Your thesis that you are submitting for your master's is an opportunity for connection, for networking. If I was doing a master's today, I worked in UBA before, I'll go and find a way to interview Mr. Tony Lumelu. Listen to me, when you say I'm a student in university or something, in a way, they accord you some sort of respect. It's just the truth about it. I've been in a meeting, I think earlier in the year I was in Nigeria, and there's a very senior female executive I went to have a meeting with. She said, oh, Jimmy, I had this interview. I'll say a random lady. She did not know her before. But because of the school she was coming from abroad, she granted the interview. Leverage what you have. These are the things that I think that people that have the opportunity or make the decision to study abroad, that's what they have that they can leverage above all the others.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for those nuggets. Please, if you are not following us here, kindly click the follow button and follow Clarity Education. My next question is the purpose of actually getting the study abroad, the global education, is to be relevant in the global marketplace. What are the steps students should take while they are studying abroad, while they are actually in that global environment learning, to ensure that when they actually graduate, that education will be valuable to them, not just for that time, but for their career and business?
Relevance in any dispensation is tied to you preferring solutions to current needs that people have. Current needs. And I wanted to just emphasize that. So a person is relevant to you if what they offer is currently important to you. The moment what they're offering is not important to you, they are not relevant to you. I hope you understand that. So let's use that as a mindset. What does that therefore mean? It means if I'm studying a course, political science, global security, let's take global security, for example. One of the most unsecure countries currently is still Nigeria. Do you get my point? And so you're studying global security. Don't just sit down and be studying NATO, study Boko Haram, study relevant stuff, because what is going on is that at the national level in Nigeria, they're still looking for solutions to these problems we have. And if somebody comes intellectually and is able to prefer a solution to them, immediately there's relevance. Immediately they say, oh, there's this guy we need to talk to. There's this guy we need to bring on board. And listen to me, kings are always looking for advisors. Write that down somewhere. Kings are always looking for advisors. And who's an advisor? Someone that just has more insight than the king. Do you get my point? And so I tell people that, look, if you're studying, don't do education the way they trained us to do education. They told us be educated so you can get a job. That is a wrong mindset. Do you get my point? Because when you're educated, remember what I said about educated, it means to be enlightened. You might find out in your enlightenment that it's not a job, it is basically a business. You might find it's not a business, it's a global need in terms of development that you are able to, pursue. So there are people that are in the development space, for example. Do you get my point? So that is the whole idea behind it. What I'm saying again is that no matter how much you're outside, never forget that your relevance is inside. What needs, and it might not even be within Nigeria, you might be abroad. I live in Texas right now. I want to join a few organizations. You know what? I'm trying to find their needs. Anytime, listen to me, anytime a person profiles a solution to what you need, you don't care about their race. That's the truth about it. And so a lot of our limitations is because we're coming with value, but we'll not be able to package our value to meet specific needs that these people are looking for. The moment people see that you are the person that can solve their need, they will forget their biases, they will engage you, and many times they're going to pay you for it.
Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Francisca.
Okay, so are there any obstacles that international students should look out for on their quest to expand horizon?
All right, I think the number one obstacle is financial. All right, because I'm sure, after this session, when people reach out to you and they reach out to Clarity Education, by the time they are clear about the fees, they might want to run. All right, but this is what I tell people, that the good thing about global education is that there's room for everyone. Now, when I say there's room for everyone, it doesn't mean that it's not competitive. All right, there is competition in certain dimensions. So, for example, you don't have to have money, but you can have a scholarship. There are scholarships available. In fact, many people qualify for those scholarships more than those that get it. But the only point that those that get it are the ones going for it, and they know how to get it. So I find that a lot of people, if I want to do something, Francisca, please, what do you know about scholarship? I'm limited to what she knows about scholarships, which is not the whole truth about the scholarships. So I find that a lot, and this is why engaging formal organizations that understand the intricacies of these things is an advantage. I tell people that if you want to go to Harvard, just decide you want to go to Harvard. If you want to go to Oxford, just decide you want to go to Oxford. When they tell you the fee is £80,000. Just say, okay, £80,000. The only problem you have is the distance between you and £80,000. £80,000 could come from scholarships. £80,000 could come from school loans. £80,000 can come by selling your grandfather's land and sending the money abroad. At least you should sell your grandfather's land. It's just when there's a will, you find a way. I have courses that I'm going to do. I don't have the funds for it right now, but I'm going to do those courses. So I've written them down somewhere that I'm going to do them, and I'm going to keep finding. The moment I want to do that, I have some executive courses. I was at Kellogg University in January this year. I went to go and speak to the MBA students, and while I was having the conversation with them, it just occurred to me that, Jimmy, you can study in, Kellogg. So I asked and I said, oh, how much is the executive, MBA and all this kind of, and when they told me the price, it was the kind of price you ask. What made me ask in the first instance? But I said to myself, it's okay. In time, I will. So first, make up your mind. Remember where we started coming from. For who I am and for all that I am meant to deliver, what kind of education do I need? Number two, is it available to me locally? If it is, go for it. If it's not available locally, it's available globally. Now, when they tell you it's available at a price, the question is, will the price make you turn back or find a new way? And there are new ways to fund. So funding, one of the key things is that I think the other area is even knowing the right schools. I think people pick schools based on price. And sometimes that's a bad choice. Because one of the other things that comes with foreign education is your alumni. The alumnus is an asset. Because many times when you just say, oh, I studied in school, you studied, people are open up to you. They open up to you immediately. I think Harvard Business School, 2 weeks ago, still had a meeting in Lagos, alumni meeting. And I saw Mobolaji Johnson, former Minister of Technology. I saw a few people that attended that meeting. You can't attend that meeting if you are not an alumnus or nothing about going to study in Harvard. So that is another benefit that people have. So in fact, let me tell you why. I started out to look at the American system, and I'm talking about America a lot. That's where I live. But I'm talking about Clarity Education has opportunities for you to study in various countries of the world. So American education, one of the big things is school loans. All right, people are always getting school loans, and I said to myself, so am I going to allow my children to get school loans? Because the kind of schools for what they want to do probably spending $80,000 a year, maybe 4 years, that's $320,000. And that's how people pay a school loan all through their lives. But I remember listening to a YouTube video, and this is a millionaire, he's based in Maryland, he's a Nigerian from the east of Nigeria. And he said he called his children and said, you cannot be in America and be collecting school loan. What's wrong with you? The #1 nation that has most scholarships is America. How many heads do they have? Go and get a scholarship. He's a millionaire. So he said this is what he told his children. That $80,000 per year, I'm going to put it in an investment for you. After 4 years, I'll have invested $20,000 so that when you finish school, you have capital to run. Listen to me. And I found out that scholarship is about narrative. It's no more than that. The people that get scholarship, they're no more brilliant than you. The only thing, they have more insight than you. That's all that's there. So sometimes it's good to engage organizations like Clarity Education for them to be able to share useful information. If you are meant to go to Harvard, you know how to say it in Nigeria, if God has told you you're going to go to Harvard, don't let the money be a deterrent. Find a way around it. Let me stop there.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Please, if you have any question, kindly drop them in the comment section. I would like us to delve a little bit into goal setting, because sometimes this study abroad thing can be overwhelming for some people, especially when they see all the hurdles they have to overcome. So I'd like you to touch a little bit on how goal setting can help them. Let's just know, how can I set goals? How can I make sure that I follow up and ensure that I achieve those goals?
I think, thanks for the question. One of the things I like to do is I don't like to answer questions that the answer is on Google or the answer is ChatGPT. All right. So if you want to know how to set goals, go and check Google. All right. However, let's look at, I did something at the time. In fact, one of my new books I have not really talked about, it's called Outperform Yourself. And the premise around it is that it's not about setting goals, it's getting goals. So a lot of people become skillful about setting goals, but the person that we never forget is the person that's got their goals. And I realized that there's a different mindset where that is concerned. A goal getter, not a goal setter, is somebody that has built the capacity to be able to accomplish anything that they envision. People like that reign in life more than the others. Most of us set goals. Oh yes, this year I want to lose 10 kg. But the person that said I want to lose 10 kg and the person that lost 10 kg are usually two different people, honestly speaking. Do you get my point? So in relating this to our conversation today, if you decide you want to go abroad to study, you don't have to go this year, by the way. Don't kill yourself. You can decide to make it a 2-year plan, but you can start working on it now. That's number one. That's in Agile Scrum Master, we call it sprints, all right? You work on one goal per time and complete it. So the first sprint for you might just even be getting information about schools. That's level 1. So you go for that. You say to yourself, in 3 weeks' time, I will have gotten information about the schools I should go to. That's level 1. Number 2 is, how do I secure scholarship? I'm just speaking arbitrarily right now. How do I secure? Then sprint 2, scholarships. Study it, get it to understand it. By the time you're through with all your sprints, you'll be closer to the end. And number 2, you'll be more likely to get the goals. So I talked about people that want to lose weight. I have 2 things that I do now. I don't have a desire to lose weight. I just have 2 desires. Number 1, eat right and exercise regularly. If I do that, my weight will be fine. So goal setters say I want to lose weight. Goal getters determine what needs to be done and they stay committed to it. If you do what you need to be done per time, you will get what you desire. Let me stop there.
Thank you very much, sir. Francesca, your next question, please.
Okay, so my question is, what common mistakes international students tend to make when setting?
Well, I think I should be asking your organization that. What have you observed also? I'm not an international student. I've not studied in any university. I've done a lot of formal education globally. No doubt about that. So what I would share would probably just me guessing, and stuff like that. But let me throw the question back at you. What have you observed as an organization are the common mistakes these people make?
Okay, so everybody, the thing is, considering everything that's happening in the country, everybody that wants to go abroad is out that part, basically. And it's like, they just look for the courses that goes after. We all know that social work, health-related courses, be more visible in aspect of in the UK especially. So a lot of people, even if they don't have that background or they've never really considered as a social worker or as a healthcare worker, they will just fly on and they're like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I need? They're never looking at the future. They're never looking at how, if they can be hope and how that aligns with their career growth in the future.
Lovely, lovely. So that's there's nothing about, nothing as beautiful as listening to somebody that can see that from the view. So thanks for sharing that. Hope that question has been answered.
Yes, it has.
That's good.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, if you have any questions, please drop them in the
I have a question
comment
for you
section.
guys. If somebody
All
wants
right,
to
sir.
engage, if somebody wanted to engage and have a conversation with Clarity Education, what's the first step they need to take?
Okay, you can send us a DM on our Instagram account, or you can go to our website and book a free consultation with us. And the good thing about Clarity Education is that we'll do your UK application free of charge. We don't charge like every other agency to do your application to any UK school. So if you want to do your application to any UK school, you can send us a DM or visit our website, clarityeducationlimited.ng, and you book a free session with us, and then we'll take the conversation from there.
Okay. Francisca, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was saying you would also be carried along at every step of the way. We're not just going to take over the whole, because it is confidential information, obviously. So you will be carried along at every step of the way. It's like you are to agency thing.
I think one of the questions, a lot of people have had bad experiences with agencies. All right. So the question is, what makes you guys different? Don't lie. You tell the truth and let them be ashamed.
Okay. So the good thing about Clarity Education Agents is all of our practices are in alignment with the British Council regulations.
Okay.
Or we're not going to do anything that is contrary to what we have learned as agents.
Okay, that's fine. Are you guys part of any kind of organization that we can report you to?
Yes, you can report us to the British Council.
There's no regulatory body, but I'd just like to add to what Francisca said. The reason why you should trust Clarity Education is that, number one, we have zero application fee, so you don't have anything to lose if you do your application with us. Then we are also working with SIUK some years ago. So we were formerly SIUK.
I remember, yeah.
We have that relationship with them. I don't know if you know SIUK. It's a global, yes, it's a global study abroad agency. So we are actually their Nigerian arm before. So based on that experience, based on that expertise, we've grown to actually set up a local study abroad agency that will cater for Nigerians. So, like I said, you don't have anything to lose if you use Clarity Education, because application is free of charge for UK schools.
Good. That's good. I think that would probably give some level of assurance and all that. All right. I don't know if you have any other questions for me. I'm not seeing any questions in the comments.
We are still, while we are waiting for another question, let me just chip in this question. You were mentioning earlier that as an international student, you'll be schooling with people from all around the world. Now, networking is a vital ingredient that you need to succeed globally. I want you to dive deeper into how you can leverage networking as an international student.
All right. Anytime I talk about networking, I always refer to an experience I had in 2016. I was invited to the Harvard Business School, to the African Business Conference, to be on the panel to speak then. And it was a great experience. And the night before the event, the main event, we had a dinner, just where people got to meet and all that. And I remember walking into the room, like, oh yeah, I'm going for networking. But I walked right into the room and I froze. Now, why did I freeze? And I'm being honest about it. I saw people that were not my color, and somehow I found myself not confident enough to walk up to them to talk to them. So I initially stood at the corner. I was trying to see whether, excuse me, I'll catch anybody's eye. And let me tell you something about Caucasians. They have this smile. It's like this. Very, very brief, you know. So people who give you that smile, that's what they owe you, but they don't necessarily have to engage with you. And nobody walked up to me. But I remember that out of the corner of my eye, I saw a black thing move. So I turned my eye and I saw a fellow African. And when he saw me, he was happy immediately. And we walked up to each other because apparently he was going through the same challenge. He didn't have anybody he felt confident enough to talk to. And he and I spent the whole evening talking to each other. And I consider that a colossal failure. All right, colossal failure, because I had the opportunity to meet people that were beyond my own normal boundaries, and I did not do that. Now, fast forward to a month ago, my friend Steve Harris was speaking at the conference. I went along with him, and it was a learning event in the learning space here in America, in Austin, Texas. And the night before, we had a networking meeting. So I went down with him, and I met people, Indians, Caucasians, you know, different people from Brazil. I even met a lady from Australia. I met a lady from Alaska. I have their details, contact. I'm still in touch with a number of them. And the question is, what's the difference between the Jimi Tewe of that time and the Jimi Tewe now? It's simply something. And I tell people that the premise to network is understanding the value that you carry. Value has no color. Value has no race. The moment, value is the only thing that can walk through any door in any country of the world. In any, look, once a king values what you have, they will open the door. Once an Asian, African values what you have, they will open the door for you. And so it is very critical that you ask yourself before you attend any networking meeting or any networking opportunity, what value do I carry? Number one. Number two, what is valuable that I carry that will be valuable to people? Because value is in the eye of the beholder. Have you heard that before? They said beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Value is in the eye of the beholder. So what Francisca values, not what you value, is not what I value. And so anytime I want to engage people, even when I don't know what they value, I'm trying to elicit conversations where I can discover what they value. And people always tell you what they value. People have had meetings, conversations, and somebody says, you know what? I mean, one guy walked up to us. He lives in Chicago, and if I give his card, he said, anytime I come to Chicago, I should say, and guess what? I am going to see him. He's in his 60s or 70s, and that's another problem. Many times we collect cards, we don't follow up. Do you get my point? He said, and he was like, oh, I saw all of you laughing here and having a good time, and I just thought, I've got to be a part of this. And I said, oh, so what do you do? You know, and then they told me, oh, that he has run this for over 40 years. And I said, oh, there's this guy you should meet. And they said, oh, sure. Value. You get my point? Immediately, that's how we could connect. So once people move beyond race, move beyond color, move beyond gender, move beyond age, listen to me, value, people always respond to it. I think that's one of the major keys for networking.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Please, if you have any questions, kindly drop them in the comment section. You can ask your question now. We have a free gift for you in our bio. If you go to our bio, there's a free ebook for you that can guide your study abroad application. Please make sure you check out that free gift. Thank you very much for this session. It has been insightful, sir. I don't know if you have any final words for us, for our audience, and for everybody that joined this session.
Well, yeah, thank you. And I must say a very big thank you to Clarity Education. I've not, somebody just made a comment. It's been a while. I've actually been off Instagram-ish for a while. And I'm taking my time. I'm not in a hurry. But I decided to do this. Actually, we've been having this conversation for over 4 months, you know, for me to do this. And one of the major reasons why I agreed to do this, because I recognize, like I said at the beginning, that for the dreams people have, for the vision that they carry in their hearts, there's a certain dimension of vibration, energy that they must have that might not be immediately available to them in their local environments. The moment they recognize that, foreign education does not become an elitist idea. It becomes a requirement for manifestation. So if you listen to me and you're trying to move to the next level, you listen to me, every next level requires a dimension of education. And in this instance, we're talking about formal education. You know, you have to engage the right people to be able to get the information required. And I think Clarity Education is that organization you can actually talk to. So thank you very much for having me. I've had an amazing time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who joined this session. We are grateful. Very, very soon we are going to host another session that is going to tackle a critical issue that people face with studying abroad. So just look out for our Instagram accounts. We are going to send more information. And please, if you are not following us yet, kindly follow us so that we will keep updating you on anything related to study abroad. Thank you very much. Francisca, any final words from you?
Session. Thank you. It was very nice to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice meeting you too. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who joined in. We are very grateful. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Bye.
Bye.